All right, cool. I think I'll also link the snapshot on the Gotchi Discord at some point during this space, and then we can see if we can get all the way through to quorum. That would be a cool thing to do.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Well, that would be actually pretty cool. Because I went and looked today and I noticed it is getting close. So
yeah, I think it's at like 80% now.
Yeah, so there's been quite a lot of interest around this.
Yeah, and I think like a couple of people in the Gotchi community are already using the bridge, and so it's just like a case of getting awareness out now and saying, look, guys, there's like a faster way to bridge your tokens and use them in other places.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, in that sense, we're creatures of habit. So sometimes we need someone to show us a new way and say, this is working, like it's better, and to break those old habits and realize that we can save some money and some time.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that this is just one example of a whole bunch of new technologies that are constantly coming out that are going to be interesting and going to be smoothing out the cryptocurrency experience as a whole. Because right now, and it's been getting better over time, but there's definitely a lot of lumps and bumps in the space that need to be smoothed out, just like with any technology. And I'm sure the internet was the same back in the early 90s, back when I was a baby. But I'm sure it was a very similar process of just smoothing out all of the friction points. And now we have, our whole lives based around the internet. And I think cryptocurrency is going to be a very similar situation.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. We are definitely going through our growing pains. And I noticed, like, I started using the internet when we had dial-up with we had a company called AOL, and they would you'd have to use telephone lines to connect your internet, and then every time someone at home would make a phone call, your dial-up connection would cut. So I remember those growing pains with just using the regular internet, and now it seems like with Web3, the growing pains are around transactions, speed of transactions, security of transactions. And I see that you guys are really making a good effort and have created some really innovative solutions around that.
Yeah, I remember playing RuneScape back in the day, back when I was in like elementary school, and having to wait for the dial-up connection to connect, and then it would cost like $1 a minute to play RuneScape, and I would drive my mum crazy doing that. And I guess as far as the crypto space is concerned, those kinds of sticking points have really kind of stuck out for us as being like the major sort of technology to focus on, And so our main focus was kind of in DeFi to begin with, and smoothing over all of the different problems that DeFi has, especially with the cross-chain stuff. But we've noticed that the NFT communities are really the major communities now that need to move their assets cross-chain so that they can participate in all of these different kinds of drops and things like that, because the different chains have different things to offer. I mean, Ethereum is kind of the big daddy, but it is limited in what you can achieve as far as the software that you can deploy on it. So it seems to us like the next generation of technology that everyone's calling layer 2 is going to be where the most compelling NFT projects are going to be launching and building their technology over the next few years. And I'm really excited to see all the new up and coming chains and all the new solutions that are coming out now as well, things like Avalanche and Phantom, but even kind of more controversial stuff like Binance Smart Chain and KuCoin Community Chain. I think they're all going to have a place in the crypto space, and it's going to be interesting to see like exactly where they fit in. But with Umbria, we're just trying to make sure that we can provide a way for people to kind of frictionlessly get their assets to those chains and kind of experiment and be involved in the technology without there being huge barriers for entry, particularly technological barriers for entry, and also the cost barrier to entry that we've seen, in things like Ethereum.
Yeah, it seems like in general, a lot of we're going to get a lot of interest in the crypto space from NFTs. It seems that way now when we're going mainstream. So there's so many issues, like you just mentioned, that need to be addressed around that to make this a very smooth, user-friendly experience. And I think we're kind of lacking that. So, and then the other thing I was going to say is also the fact that it seems like Umbria is not really trying to compete with any specific blockchain or scaling solution, you're actually trying to almost weave a lot of these things together and make the whole experience seem seamless. And I thought that was really cool when I was looking into it myself.
Yeah, so we're trying to basically build like the glue that kind of sticks all of these blockchains together. We think that, well, the main sticking point with all of this Web3 stuff at the moment is that everything is kind of fragmented in the crypto community at the moment. And so you have all of these great technologies, but not really any way of moving between them. And so, for example, on Polygon, you have a way of transacting at light speed and for basically free. But then on, Ethereum, you have all of these technologies like Uniswap and Curve and Aave and all these other ones. And although now we're kind of seeing a bit more integration between blockchains of these projects, there's still a lot of fragmentation between some of these legacy systems and some of the newer technology that will, speed these things up and make them more accessible to the layman and to also people who, can't afford to be spending hundreds of dollars on gas. And so that's what we're really excited about. We're excited about seeing where this community will be, in 18 months, 24 months, when people like us, like the Umbria team and other teams doing similar stuff, manage to glue all of these blockchains together and facilitate, a more interoperable and cross-chain area of development.
Hey, just thought I'd introduce myself as well. I'm Aaron Dev as well with Oscar and Barney. So just in case you're wondering who I was.
Yeah, no, it's nice to meet all of you. Actually, I'll just start off and say, yeah, my name's Hefe. This is a Gotchi Space. So I do this space every kind of Sunday, and we sometimes get special guests like yourself to come on and share some really insightful stuff with our community. Because I find as some of going back to some of the things you had mentioned, Oski, we get a lot of people who might not be very familiar with crypto, but are really attracted by the idea of Aavegotchis and a pet NFT. So that's sometimes how they initially get exposed to DeFi. And then obviously some of the hurdles they have to get over involve these moments where you have to bridge your funds and wait, 45 minutes or so. So, it's awesome to get people to come on and talk about some of this stuff to make this whole onboarding process a lot easier for Aavegotchi, but also people in general who are trying to get involved in crypto. So maybe Dev Oski or one of you other guys could just tell us maybe a bit about just a little bit about who you are at a high level and maybe just what Umbria is for those who don't know.
Sure. Yeah. So basically, we're all developers on the Umbria team for Umbria.Network. That's our project. And basically, what our project means for Aavegotchi specifically is the ability to move the Ghost token, which basically powers the Aavegotchi ecosystem. Being able to move that from the Ethereum chain to the Polygon chain to be able to interact with the ecosystem more easily in two ways. The first way is making it way cheaper. Because Aavegotchi is deployed on Polygon, and you need to be able to get your Ghost tokens to Polygon to interact with the ecosystem. And the Umbria bridge enables the Aavegotchi community to do that in the cheapest and fastest way. The old way that you would have to do that would be by using the official Polygon bridge, which was both really slow and really expensive. And what we've come up with is a new kind of bridging protocol, which I won't go into too much details about, but basically the consequences of this new bridging protocol that we invented has made the bridging of the Aavegotchi token cost about a third of the price that it used to be. And instead of taking like an hour or 45 minutes, like you said, it takes on average about 4 minutes to move those tokens across. And so what we've proposed to the Aavegotchi DAO very recently was, hey, you guys should put $100,000 in each side of our bridge because our bridge protocol needs liquidity to facilitate these kinds of transactions. And if you are able to do that, then we'll be able to bridge Ghost tokens in volumes of about $20,000 rather than the current amount, which is about roughly $1,000 that we have right now. So we've made a proposal on the official, Aavegotchi DAO proposals page, and it's been really, really well received. I think it has about 92% upvotes and about 8% downvotes, and it's almost reached the critical point for a DAO proposal to pass, which is about 9 million votes. And I think it has something like 6.8 million or 6.5 million right now. So what we're pretty much saying to the Gotchi community is, if you're holding the Ghost token and you're able to vote on that proposal, it would be a really good thing to do to vote yes on that proposal, because it's going to make the bridging of the Ghost token a lot cheaper and a lot faster for everyone in the Gotchi community, which is really going to strengthen the Gotchi project.
I guess not only that as well, it's also going to be earning the money, earning interest for the DAO as well, isn't it? So it's not kind of like we're asking for free money.
Yeah, exactly. Every time anyone bridges the Ghost token from Ethereum to Polygon or from Polygon to Ethereum, the Gotchi DAO is going to earn a portion of the fee from that. So, as soon as the DAO, if it ever becomes an unnecessary solution for the Gotchi project, they can just remove all of that liquidity, and they'll actually be left with a profit for having that liquidity in the bridge in the first place. And so it's a bit of a win-win scenario for Gotchi, because they're going to have the cheapest and fastest possible bridging that's available right now, which is going to make the experience for the users way better. But they're also going to be earning money for that as well. So I think that's probably the reason why the proposal has been so popular, because people can see that there's really no reason not to push this one through.
Yeah, it's also just going to be something that gives the Gotchi token slightly more utility as well, because not all assets can be bridged through the Umbria bridge. There's only a select few assets that are compatible with that bridge right now. And so Gotchi being one of those assets also gives it utility, because it means that that asset can be used to move value from Ethereum to Polygon and vice versa, much better than a arbitrary token that might not be mapped on the Umbria ecosystem.
Yeah, I do believe, there is quite a bit of Ghost liquidity even on layer 1, and with Gotchi, we just recently launched the first couple sales of our Gotchiverse realm, and we've seen a decent amount of Ghost make its way over onto into actual Gotchi assets, and so that's where I could see a lot more Ghost being bridged over in the short term, seeing a lot of Ghost moving over to layer 2 to purchase in-game assets, especially as this game is starting to just get its feet on the ground. And, 2022, we'll see some live gameplay, and we'll see some actual utility come out of the game itself. So I could see a lot more Ghost migrating its way over from exchanges like Binance, for example. So people using Binance Smart Chain, or whether they want to use Maddox web wallet and do that. Those are the current ways people kind of typically think of when they're bridging their assets, their Ghost over. The way I've been doing it, and I actually did test out the Umbria bridge, and I was actually quite impressed. So, normally I would take my ETH, I would get it off an exchange, and it'd be sitting in my MetaMask wallet, and then I'd go over to the Polygon web wallet. It's a timing game. That's the other thing. It's a timing game with the whole gas wars thing going on. It's really frustrating, and you got to wait sometimes to get that optimal time to do the transaction in the first place. So that's the first limiting factor. So once I can find a time that I can bridge my funds, which is usually like around midnight, then I can, wait till the gas fees dip down. But even then, lately it's been anywhere between, 50 to 100 or more dollars to bridge your funds, even during, low volume hours. And then on top of that, you're waiting an hour. So like from a new user's perspective, that's kind of a terrifying experience, if you ask me. Like I've had to make that leap a few times before I got comfortable, and it really does feel like a leap. So I can imagine from a new user's perspective, something like this would be a huge improvement from a first impression of Web3, because that's kind of these first impressions that get made when people are using our products.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, what we need right now in the crypto space is things that make it easier to onboard new people. And so one of the main problems that I think not only have the Gotchi community that might be new to crypto have been facing, but really any NFT project, is that there are a lot of sticking points that kind of hinder you from getting into the space when there are so many things that aren't so intuitive. And one of the things that we found particularly unintuitive is setting up your MetaMask wallet to be connectable to the Polygon blockchain. And there isn't really there is a standard way of doing it, but the standard way of doing it currently is very clunky. You have to have a bunch of information ready so that you can import it into your MetaMask wallet. For example, you need to know the chain ID of the Polygon mainnet. You need to have an RPC to connect to the blockchain, and you need to know what explorer that blockchain is using, all that kind of thing, so you can connect to Polygon from your MetaMask. And things like that are really going to be a problem for not only laymen, but even people that are technically savvy that just haven't done all of this stuff before. And so as developers in the space, our main focus right now is not only making projects that are going to have great utility in the space, but also are really easy to use for people that aren't used to using Web3 technology.
One of the biggest things we seem to find is that a lot of the people who seem to join our projects and sort of used Umbria, they are very new to DeFi in general. So there's a lot of Zedron users, so they seem to be a very large percentage of our user base. And I've got to say, a lot of the time, a lot of these people don't even realize that the Zed is actually on Polygon. So conceptually, they just want to do something which they call in their parlance, which is wrapping their Ethereum. So it's kind of difficult a lot of the times to try and figure out how we take, I guess, what is quite a complex problem and make it more intuitive, especially when you've got all of these different terminologies in different projects. So it can be a bit difficult sometimes to try and figure out what it is people are trying to do. So you kind of have to, what would the first thing I do if I'm trying to help anyone is ask which projects they are from. And then I can kind of try and tailor things a little bit more to the language that people in that project are used to hearing. So I guess we are quite in its infancy, aren't we, in that sense.
Yeah, exactly. And that just speaks to kind of what we're trying to do for the Aave Gotchi community at Umbria, which is just make it a friendlier user experience for them to get their Ghost tokens wherever they need to get them to. And so that kind of shines in how we designed the Umbria bridge. And something, Aaron, you've been working on is our bridging widget, which a bunch of projects have started integrating into their platform. And so their communities don't even really need to know that they're using Umbria because they've just rebranded our widget system. And so it's part of their project system now. So if you go to Aave Gotchi, for example, you can bridge your assets in Aave Gotchi's front end without really knowing that you're going to Polygon or anything like that. They've reskinned all of that system to look like Aave Gotchi's user experience. And that's actually hooked up to the official Polygon bridge right now. So it's not the fastest solution and it's not the cheapest solution. But there's an opportunity now for them to take Umbria's widget, skin that up in exactly the same way as they have their current solution, and have the same exact user experience for a third of the price. And instead of taking an hour, it's going to take a few minutes. And so that's what we're kind of doing, and that's what we're kind of proposing to the Aave Gotchi community now with this first DAO proposal to say, hey guys, put a little bit of Ghost in our system and just see how effective it is. And we're reaching that critical point now. So once that DAO proposal is passed, I'm going to be writing a brand new proposal, which is going to be implement our widget next and make life even easier for the Aave Gotchi community from then on.
Just to continue from that, we don't even ask for any money from these projects to do this sort of thing. We sort of try our best to accommodate what's going to be a large project. We will sort of put the legwork in for them, if that makes sense. So we're not really asking for anything in terms of using their widget. We don't charge a fee. The only fee that people pay is to the liquidity providers and Umbria holders. So.
That's so awesome, guys. That's one part of the process where I feel we could really make a big difference for new users is to make this initial onboarding impression seem kind of seamless and abstract away all these different blockchains and things and have it available, have information obviously available for people that once they get the hang of it can learn more about it. But it's about having that first initial experience that's pleasant compared to, terrifying. When I used the Umbria bridge for the first time, I bridged my ETH over to Polygon. And I think it was in the middle of the day, so the gas fees were pretty high, but I wanted to just test your network and see, at any time, just any random time, what's the price going to be, irrespective of, waiting for the gas price to go down and stuff. And so, the Gwei was around, I think, 80 or 90, so it's pretty high. And I think in that range, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think on Matic, yeah, the Matic web wallet and bridging over there, you'd be paying maybe like $100 or so for the amount that I was gonna send over. And using the Umbria bridge, I think I paid in total with the little bit of I think it was a market fee. I paid $9 and it took less than a minute. I want to say it was like it almost felt instantaneous. And I wish I would have had that experience from the start, because it's really anxiety inducing when you're starting out and you're waiting like an hour for your funds. Or I've heard of some people waiting like overnight and stuff. Like that's really going to taint your whole experience of what we're doing, and how we're going about this. So I actually wanted to ask you guys with this specific proposal. I in the proposal it says we would have to. Are we staking 100,000 ghosts on each side of the bridge? Like, can you maybe at a high level just explain how transactions on the bridge are validated or secured, or what's the role of this $100,000 ghost on each side of the bridge? What would that function as?
Yeah, so basically how that would work is the assets would be sent over from the Treasury wallet, or wherever they are right now. And once they are added as liquidity, they're 100K on each side of the bridge, one on Polygon, one on Ethereum. Only the address that actually sent them in can then decide to pull them back out. And so once they've been sent in, that address will then still own those assets. And as those assets then earn extra stake when people start bridging between Polygon and Ethereum, that address is then assigned the rewards for the liquidity provision fees, which is 0.2% of any assets that are moved across the bridge in Ghost. And so it's a very simple process. All you have to do is send those assets to the liquidity oracle, which is a system which basically it uses both blockchains to validate the transaction. So it inherits all the security features of the blockchain, and then once a transaction is sent to the liquidity address or to the bridging address, that transaction is confirmed on the blockchain for a certain number of confirmations. Once those confirmations have appeared on the blockchain, the Oracle then fires an event to either bridge a transaction onto the other blockchain or to pay the liquidity providers for a bridge.
The best way to look at it pretty much is that it's a liquidity pool. And so whenever someone wants to bridge tokens using the Umbria bridge, they send tokens to the bridge on, let's say, the Ethereum side, and then the bridge recognizes that and sends them those tokens back on the Polygon side. And so we have an Oracle system that figures out when the bridge receives funds and when it should be sending funds. But the best way to look at it is just that you can give the bridge funds with one hand on one network and receive them back with the other hand on the other network. And so what we need for that operation to happen is we need our liquidity pools on the Ethereum network and on the Polygon network to have Ghost in them, so that when someone sends in on Ethereum, they can get sent back out on Polygon. And right now we have about $20,000 worth of Ghost on either side, which can produce transactions of a size of about $1,000 per block. But if we could have 100,000 on each side, we could do transactions of about $20,000 worth per block. And so you can see that even with a very small amount of liquidity, we can facilitate really large-scale transactions, and many of them in a very short space of time. So really what we need for this bridging to be even better is just a small amount of liquidity in both liquidity pools. And because it is a liquidity pool model, just like SushiSwap might be or Uniswap might be, the DAO does get paid for providing that liquidity. So it's basically just lending assets to the bridge to facilitate that bridging in a traditional liquidity pool model that you might be used to on any DEX or anything like that.
I guess the only difference to bring up though is it's what's it called? There's no impermanent loss as well, because it's only a single asset. So it's not like you are staking a pair like Ethereum and Ghost. So if the value of one increases and the value of the other decreases in sort of a traditional staking model, your sort of overall value would maybe stay the same, right? But if it's just a single asset, you get all of the upside and none of the downside.
That's awesome, guys. So as an Avogotchi person, like really like the sound of this, especially with no impermanent loss and a safer way essentially to stake and earn a little bit of fees as a result. So could individual Avogotchi holders or Ghost token holders stake their Ghost in the the network protocol and earn
Yeah,
APY that way?
yeah, and there's been quite a few Gotchi users who've staked a small amount of Ghost tokens, so like $1,000 here and there. And then the Umbria team have also staked about $10,000 of the Ghost token on either side as well, just to kind of get things moving. And just by doing that, we can facilitate like $1,000 of bridging per block. So that's pretty nice. But we just think that if there was just a little bit more liquidity, like 100,000 on either side, that would probably be enough for anyone who would want to bridge, you know, really any amount of the token. I can't see people wanting to bridge more than $20,000 at a time. Maybe they would want to do more than that, but I think that would probably cover the majority of the Gotchi users. And even like with $1,000 at a time now, we've seen quite a lot of bridging happening on the Gotchi, on the Umbria bridge, just because it is so much cheaper and faster than the Polygon bridge. There really is no reason to use the old system anymore. So now we're just at the stage where it's like, you know, we have this proposal. Everyone's pretty much saying, yes, let's do it. And we need to hit the minimum number of votes, which is 9 million Ghost. And we're about, I think, somewhere between 70 and 80% of the way there, I think. So yeah, it's now just about spreading the word and letting the Gotchi community know that this is possible, and to, yeah, just spread awareness on it.
And right now, with the price of an Gotchi portal or the price of, let's say, like some spacious land on the Gotchiverse, we think that having that extra liquidity will encourage a lot more users to come to the bridge, because it will mean that they can transact in amounts that will be more useful for them to buy, you know, more expensive pieces of land or more expensive portals, or maybe more expensive accessories for their Gotchi as well.
I understand. So basically, this 100,000 on each end of the bridge is essentially functioning as money that's been spoken for during that transaction. So if you're sending 1,000 Ghost from one end to the other end, you know that 1,000 Ghost on the other end of the bridge has already been kind of taken care of, and that's kind of what makes these transactions also very seamless and fast in that way.
Yeah, so basically when someone bridges, in a way they're kind of depositing an asset on one side and then withdrawing it from the other side, because when they deposit some assets into the bridge while they're bridging, they're then allocated the allowance to withdraw that much on the other side, and that's organized by the Oracle. And so we need to have the liquidity on both sides of the bridge, so that when someone bridges an asset and essentially deposits a chunk on one blockchain, it can then be given to them on the other side of the bridge, on the other blockchain.
And the reason that it's so much faster and so much cheaper than the official Polygon bridge is because it uses a completely different style of bridging model. With the Polygon bridge, the way you can bridge tokens from Ethereum to Polygon using their official bridge, they have to go through a bunch of smart contracts which burn tokens and then mint them again on the other side, and the whole process takes a long time, and it's also very computationally expensive for the the Ethereum blockchain and the Polygon blockchains to compute. So we've come up with a brand new model, which is more of a liquidity pool style model, similar to SushiSwap or Uniswap's DEXs would use. And that's taken away a lot of the really complicated and expensive computation and moved to a more sort of modern layer 2 approach, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so the gas costs of actually burning and minting are expensive, whereas the gas costs for just doing transfers is much less. And so the reason that we've managed to get it to be so much cheaper is because we're not doing the burning and minting model, we're doing the transfer model.
Okay, this makes a lot of sense, because then it actually makes a lot of sense why we should have 100,000 Ghosts on each side, because essentially what you're doing is you're increasing the throughput of the bridge and how many transactions or what volume of transaction it can handle at any time, which I could see there being, an increased use for that specific case over the next few months as we roll out multiple more land auctions. And we also see some more price discovery, because we're still kind of in our early stages of where the game hasn't even really released yet. So I feel like once we do get that volume, having some cheap, easy to integrate bridging solution would be perfect. It would deter a lot less users for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And not to mention that a lot of other NFT platforms are coming through this bridge, and they're all seeing the Ghost token on our bridge and saying, what is this all about? So it's quite a lot of exposure from other NFT platforms, other NFT users who are coming along to maybe, use Zrun or use the Red Village or some other kind of project. So it's cool to be able to expose that community to Aave Gotchi as well.
So have you partnered with any other metaverse projects or NFT projects recently, or since you've been using the Narni bridge, I believe it's called, and how has that improved their user experience for those gamers?
Yeah, we have about 25 partners at the moment. And to be honest, when we released this bridge, we didn't think it was going to be used by NFT people at all. We thought it was going to be used by people in DeFi who wanted to get away from Uniswap, because Uniswap is really expensive to trade, and a lot of new tokens come onto Uniswap before they get listed on any DEXs. And so we thought that people were going to say, screw Uniswap, we want to move to Polygon and do all of our transactions there for way cheaper. But when we launched the bridge and we listed Ethereum on the bridge, it turned out that everyone who was using it was in NFTs, because we were right in the middle of an NFT boom, and DeFi had kind of fallen out of vogue a little bit. I mean, it's still widely used, but it was nothing as hot compared to NFTs. And so when we listed ETH, that was when everything really took off, and the Zrun community basically completely adopted our system and moved away fully from the official Polygon bridge. Because the thing with Zrun is you have to move your Ethereum around quite a lot here and there to participate in races and do all of that kind of thing. So I would say probably 80% of our users are the Zrun community, and we're pretty heavily integrated into Zrun. But there's also the Red Village and quite a few different NFT drops, like the mintable NFT drops like Crypto Island, Matic Mike, things like that. And so we're basically just rolling out partnerships with a whole bunch of different NFT projects at the moment. And obviously we're making sure that they're good projects. The teams are legit and all of that kind of thing. So there's quite a few queued up as well that we'll be announcing over the next year or so, I guess.
That's awesome. That just shows that there is a lot of attention in this NFT space for this need to have this ability to get assets over quickly. And layer 2s to begin with are already a foreign concept to most people who are starting out with this sort of thing. So I'm all for this. And then you also made a good point earlier about integrating the bridge into a front end, like Aave Gotchi's front end. So how can an Aave Gotchi developer interact and build with the Narni bridge? Are they able to just build on top of the bridge you already have and just create a new front end for it if they're going to build a dApp in the metaverse, let's say, for example?
Yeah, there's a few different ways that we've made our bridge quite open-ended to developers. So one of the basic ways, and the first ways that we ever kind of had a framework for developers to integrate our bridge, is we just created a very simple API where you can kind of program that into your application and then use all the functions of the Narni bridge. And then Aaron developed a kind of front-end widget that looks very familiar to anyone who's used SushiSwap. And we've put all of that code out into the internet, all completely open source, all completely publicly available. And so now any project can look at that front-end widget, change all the colors, change all the names around, put their logo on it and say, this is the Aave Gotchi bridge. And their users don't even really need to know that they're using Umbria. And so that's fully available for anyone. And we actually do provide development support as well for any project who wants to integrate that. So if Aave Gotchi came along and said, we like the bridge, but we'd like our users to, feel like it's part of the Aave Gotchi user experience a bit more, we would be totally happy to help them integrate that into their website. And then it would be, totally part of the native Aave Gotchi experience.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a couple of bigger projects at the moment that might have already been mentioned that are kind of going down that route. But basically, they didn't really want to be, I guess, sending people to our site to do it. So they wanted to use something that was pretty familiar to anyone who's used SushiSwap before. So what I can do is I can post a link to the front end, which is on GitHub. It is forked from, well, it's based on SushiSwap. So if anyone's ever used it, it's very familiar to them.
Because we think the main kind of bottleneck in this space, or one of the main friction points in this space, is just getting your head around the technology as a new user. And one of the main ways as a project to help your users kind of interface with your project and have a good user experience is brand everything properly and take them through a straight line path from the start to the finish of your project, and then they can feel like they're doing what they're supposed to do rather than jumping over to the Umbria website and bridging something over here and then accidentally ending up on the Polygon website and not knowing what they're doing and all that kind of thing. We feel like a better way to do it would be to provide a bunch of technologies and say to all these different projects, you implement this technology the way you want to implement it, and then your community can really feel like they know what they're doing and it can be part of one cohesive system rather than just a bunch of fragmented systems. Because the cryptocurrency space is so fragmented. You have Polygon, you have Ethereum, and they're in two opposite ends of the galaxy. And then there's Binance Smart Chain over here and there's KuCoin Community Chain over there. So what Umbria is trying to do at the end of the day is kind of glue everything together and provide a way to have a seamless cryptocurrency experience. And at the end of the day, what we're hoping to do with this bridge and what we're implementing right now is multiple bridges across many chains so that when cryptocurrency developers launch an application on Phantom, because that's the best thing for their application, users can get to Phantom using Umbria, or they can get to Binance Smart Chain using Umbria. And then we can make full use of all of this cryptocurrency technology.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point you make about integrating your tools that you've created over just using your own UI, which actually, by the way, I should say is also very easy to use. I found it very easy to navigate. And also I like the fact that there was feedback that you get from your interface as you're interacting, like as you're doing your transaction. It would let you know kind of where it's sitting at throughout the process. So I thought it was very user-friendly overall. It was my first time using it. So, with using any new dApp, you have a little bit of anxiety, but actually it was a very smooth experience. And I was actually quite surprised at how quickly my funds actually ended up over on the other side. I did not bridge Ghost, but I'd imagine it's very similar. I was doing ETH just to see how quickly I could get my ETH over. And I was impressed. But going back to that visual point, if that can seem a part of the dApp that someone's creating, because we have these parcels in Aavegotchi, and eventually Aavegotchi is going to have its own SDK where developers can build on their land. So I could imagine, people, building certain games and whatnot, and having this ability, this extra bridging ability, as almost an extra feature as a part of their land. So I could see something like that even be done later down the line. So I could see a lot of opportunities with something like this.
I think NFT projects in general are starting to realize that going onto a layer 2 chain like Polygon, maybe not necessarily Polygon, maybe something like Solana, but at least something more effective than Ethereum, is going to be really necessary for the next generation of applications that are being built with NFT technology. Because we've had this whole wave now of the profile picture projects, and they've been really exciting. But now we've come to a point where that's been sort of exhausted, in my opinion, and NFT projects need to take this technology that's really powerful and build the next layer of stuff for it. And I think Polygon and Solana and chains like that are going to be really, really important parts of that development. I think that's also been reflected in the fact that the Polygon price has continued to skyrocket while everything else has been going down. I think people are really starting to realize now that these layer 2s are going to be the next important technologies. And so something that's going to be also really important is the ability to move your assets to those chains effectively. And so I would say that that is the main focus of Umbria. And how that extends to Aavegotchi is that Aavegotchi's technology is going to be based on Polygon and maybe even other layer 2 solutions if they prove to be more effective. And so there needs to be someone who comes in and says, here is the underlying technology now to get those assets around more seamlessly so that the Aavegotchi project and the Aavegotchi community can really, really flourish.
Yeah, and I'm sure you had many projects coming to you asking, if they could integrate with you and if they could actually start, having their funds deposited on the bridge, but I think when you're first starting out, you probably have to be quite selective with what you want on the platform, right? I mean, I think you started with stable coins and then branched out, right?
Yeah, we started with stable coins and no one wanted to use them. And then we kind of wondered why. And then we realized that it wasn't the DeFi community that needs to move to Polygon or really wants to move to Polygon yet. It's actually the NFT community, because we're experiencing right now, we think, a massive boom of NFT projects integrating their stuff or migrating their stuff over to Polygon. And that's kind of why we think ultimately that Polygon is going to be a really important technology in the next stage of like DeFi, but also NFTs. And so for anybody who's just joined this discussion, what we're doing is we've basically, Umbria has come up with a new solution for bridging the Ghost token from Ethereum to Polygon, which is about a third of the price, but also instead of taking an hour like the official Polygon bridge, takes only about 4 minutes. And what we're asking for is for the Gotchi DAO to lend our protocol about $200,000 of liquidity so that we can increase the amount of bridging that can happen from a single transaction from being about $1,000 at a time to about $20,000 at a time. And we've just linked the proposal on the Gotchi Discord, or we're just about to. I think Barney, you're just about to link it. But it's been really popular so far. We've had about 92% upvotes of people saying yes, we want this, because it's going to provide a way for the Gotchi community to bridge their Ghost tokens way more quickly and way more cheaply, and it's really going to strengthen the Gotchi platform in general. So if you do hold some of the Ghost tokens, we would definitely encourage you to have a look at that proposal, check it out and see if you want to vote on it. And yeah, let's make the Gotchi project even stronger and even more interoperable.
That's awesome. And now, so in addition to this $100,000 or $200,000 worth of liquidity, if any other individual Aavegotchi or Ghost token holders want to deposit their Ghost on the protocol, what are some of the benefits to that, or is that something that they could do?
Sorry, could you say that again? I just cut out for a second.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so I'm just saying if other Aavegotchi or Ghost token holders want to deposit their Ghost into your, I guess I could call it a protocol to add to this $200,000 worth of liquidity, what would be some of the benefits? Like, would they benefit from some of the fees, as you mentioned before, or I know you guys have an LP token as well. What are some of the benefits to providing additional liquidity for like an individual?
Oh, so for anybody providing liquidity to our bridging protocol, they earn fees every single time someone bridges the asset that they have provided. So let's say you provide the Ghost token. Every single time someone bridges the Ghost token between Ethereum and Polygon, or Polygon and Ethereum, you will earn 0.2% of the volume that was bridged, and that gets added to your staking balance. And so when you're putting your Ghost tokens into the protocol, you're just lending that liquidity to the protocol, and you can remove that liquidity at at any time. But while that liquidity is added within the system, is being used to help people bridge their assets, you'll be earning fees every single time the assets are bridged.
Yeah, and so it's a really nice, easy process to stake as well. All you have to do is go to the Umbria website and click the pool and earn button, and then you can just follow the steps there. It's easy to stake. All of the assets that you earn as fees are auto-harvested, and so your assets will compound as you earn more fees. Those fees will also earn fees as well.
Another thing that we should probably mention as well is that we have our own governance token, which is called the Umbria governance token, and if you stake that in our bridge, you earn a 0.3% fee whenever anyone bridges any asset across our bridge. So we currently support Ethereum and USDT, USDC, Wrap Bitcoin, a whole bunch of different stuff. And as we add more chains, which we're doing in the very near future, we're just about to launch Binance Smart Chain, you'll be earning fees from those chains as well. And so that earning potential is just going to increase as we add more assets and more chains. And we're hoping to add tens and tens of chains over the next year or two. There's going to be, Solana, Phantom, Avalanche, and really any chain that's becoming popular and requires people to have that bridging capability. So that's like the major problem we're trying to solve in the space. It's just enabling people to move their assets cross-chain as easily as possible. We have things like wrapped Bitcoin now, But why shouldn't people just be able to get their Bitcoin from Coinbase and convert it into wrapped Bitcoin themselves without having to go through all these different exchanges? That's the problem we're trying to solve here. So right now we have the fastest and cheapest cross-chain bridge between Ethereum and Polygon. And one of the tokens we decided to list was the Gotchi Ghost token, just because there's such a thriving community in Gotchi. And, why shouldn't you guys be able to bridge your Ghost way cheaper and way more quickly than is the current solution? We have the second mover advantage over the official Polygon bridge, which is a great technology, but it's not optimized for quick transactions and cheap transactions. So we've come along and we've made a 10x improvement on speed, and in many cases a 10x improvement on price for the old solution. And so now it's just about spreading the word to various communities such as the Gotchi community.
Yeah, wow. I mean, I'm actually, I'm just thinking over the staking aspect that you were explaining there. And the thing that appeals to me is the no impermanent loss. And you don't have to restake your rewards. It's auto compounding, right? So like those are two big things that make me feel confident as, someone if I was new to DeFi. There's an appeal there to maybe stake some Ghost in there and earn a little bit of the fees. And are you also earning the LP tokens as well? Your native token, are you earning that if you're staking your Ghost, for example? Or is that something you'd have to purchase?
Yeah, right now, if you want to get the Umbria token, you would have to purchase it on Uniswap. And the reason that we haven't listed on any major exchanges yet is because we're still a pretty new project. And so we don't want to be vulnerable to any pump and dump groups or anything like that. So we've listed on a decentralized exchange so that, big whales can't come in and pump and dump the price. And so if you look at our chart over the last, I guess 6 to 9 months, you'll see that our price has been really steady. It's been really it's been growing steadily, and there's been no really big pumps or dumps or anything like that. And so that was kind of like a design choice in how we're releasing and emitting our token. We didn't want it to be a target for pump and dump groups. So it's only available on Uniswap right now.
That being said, if you do hold the Umbria token and stake the Umbria token in the Narni bridge, you'll actually earn Ghost as a reward for that every time someone bridges Ghost. And so the way that the bridge is set up, if you stake Umbria, you earn fees in all of the other assets that are being bridged on the bridge. And so you'll earn Ethereum when someone bridges Ethereum, you'll earn USDC when someone bridges USDC, and of course, if somebody bridges Ghost, you'll earn Ghost as well. And as we move onto other blockchains like Binance Smart Chain and Coupon Community Chain and all the other blockchains that we will eventually support, any of the assets that are bridged from any blockchain to any blockchain in our system, that will earn the Umbria token providers in our system fees. And so you will earn APY in a whole bunch of different assets just for holding the Umbria token in the bridge.
Yeah, so basically there's just two ways. You can either provide the asset like Ghost and just earn Ghost, or you can provide Umbria and earn a bit of everything. And that's kind of a way that we're incentivizing, our community to provide liquidity of our token. But we want to be able to, enable anybody who's going to be providing a useful asset to the bridge to also be able to earn. So there's two options there. If you're bullish on Ghost, there's no reason not to provide Ghost. If you're bullish on Umbria, there's no reason not to provide Umbria. So it's really left up to the community to decide what they want to lend to the protocol.
Yeah, and in terms of governance, we've taken a lot of inspiration from how Gotchi has built their governance model and how they're doing everything through DAO proposals and stuff and keeping everything really above board. You see a lot of cryptocurrency projects that claim decentralized governance and that kind of thing, but then don't really do a lot to actually prove that all the choices they're making are done in a decentralized way, and that there is true power in holding their governance token. And so we're trying to follow in the footsteps of Gotchi in a lot of ways by implementing some of the similar DAO implementations that they have in their system as well. And so that's why we're encouraging people to hold the Umbria token and giving them fees of all the other assets in the bridge, because the Umbria token does have a lot of power and authority in our system because it is a governance token, and it's going to be used to shape the protocol as we move forward in the future.
I mean, right now, like the Umbria token is like the only way that we actually make any money from the bridge, right? It's
Yeah.
so long term. It's as sort of I guess the project progresses, hopefully its value will increase a little bit more as well. So
Yeah, exactly. There is no like developer kickback. The only reason that the developers earn any fees from the bridge is because we've staked the Umbria tokens that we have. And so that's one of the things that we're really proud of with our protocol. It's that, the only people who earn fees from the bridge are people who provided liquidity of some asset. And there's no DAO cut, there's no like developer cut or company cut. It's like if you have tokens and you put them in the bridge, you're going to earn an equal part of the fees generated.
Exactly. And like as the co-founder and developer, I have like a couple of percent of the Umbria token. And so we're really proud that our, tokenomics and the way we've distributed the funds is as fair as possible. And so, none of us here are whales with the Umbria token siphoning off all the fees or anything like that. And that's something that we think is really important, not only for us, but for the success of the project. Because at the end of the day, in crypto, all you have is trust when it comes to being, at the forefront of a project.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the value proposition with the way you've laid out that token is very clear, and it just lays it out for you that you're going to get a certain percentage of fees, and I guess you'd be an early adopter at this point if you were to get in and do something like that. This is not financial advice by any means, but I think we're talking about some really interesting stuff, and anybody listening right now, you're early. These are very early conversations about how we could get things to work a lot better, not with just Aavegotchi, but other games that are trying to accomplish similar things and create these very elaborate metaverses that are going to require tools like this to create a seamless experience. So I really, I was blown away by this when I actually used the product.
Yeah, I like what you said about us being really early. I think for the NFT space in general, we're so early. I think we've only in the last few months just proven that this technology can exist and is interesting and is compelling. And now what we have ahead of us on the road is a few years of defining more complicated, more interesting technologies on top of that. And, being that we're here really, really early, we can all take advantage of that early adoption and early interest, and early education, I guess, and know for sure that this actually is a really compelling technology that has a lot of possible use cases. So this is a super exciting time, I think, because if you looked at NFTs like maybe a year ago, you could say something like, well, this could work. But now we've proven that a lot of people are really interested in this stuff. There's a lot of really great technology that's being built around this stuff. And it is facilitating really large-scale communities doing really interesting things. So it is just really exciting to be here right now.
I think like one of the other important things about, I guess, the way we're running our bridge is that we're not really too vulnerable to any one particular cryptocurrency or network becoming obsolete or something happening because of the way we're trying to sort of like add more and more bridges to all these different networks. That's kind of the long-term plan. We're kind of scaling up. So.
And I just wanted to quickly touch on the staking aspect. I'm just thinking about Aavegotchi, where you can actually stake your Ghost tokens on the UI and earn Friends tokens. So the Friends tokens are they're not actually ERC tokens. They act more like points, but then you can convert these points into ERC 1155 like raffle tickets. And then you can enter these raffles where you can actually win like wearables and like items for your Aavegotchi. So I could actually see maybe the possibility, and I mean, this would have to be another discussion as well, obviously, but I could see there being a possibility of even having some sort of friends reward for staking in the Narni bridge. Like that would be pretty cool to see as well. There's like a lot of potential, like you're saying. You have a lot more things you can build out going forward. Like what are your thoughts around eventually being able to transfer like ERC 1155 like Aavegotchi wearables or ERC 720s like the Aavegotchis themselves? Is there maybe some potential for that in the future? Maybe not the near term, but Is that something you've maybe thought about?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting area, and I think that bridging assets of any description, whether it be ERC20 or ERC721 or whatever is going to come next, I think the ability to be able to move those safely, securely, cheaply between different blockchains that can do different things is going to be important because maybe tomorrow Polygon isn't as effective as it is today, and we need to be able to migrate our assets to some new layer 3 chain or whatever new technology that might prove more effective or more compelling to the user base. So we're definitely looking into developing technologies for bridging different kinds of assets and things like that. But the major bottleneck in cryptocurrency we see right now is people not being able to migrate their Ethereum and things like that to where it needs to go so that they can participate in new projects like Gotchi or like any other NFT project that's building on top of Polygon or something like that. Maybe in the future when people are designing their protocols around ERC 721 or ERC whatever it might be, that could be something that happens in the future, and I see that happening in the future as the technology becomes more standardized. But for now, it's like, how am I going to get my Ethereum to Solana if there's no bridge for me to get it there? So that's kind of what we're focusing on right now.
Yeah, and the way I see this project going forwards is if there's something that the users really require and there's some utility in transferring, for example, ERC 721 tokens or any other ERC standard tokens at all, if there is enough of a community that really requires something like that from us, then we'll absolutely implement it for them. Because at the end of the day, we believe the Umbria project in general is only going to be as successful as the utility that it provides. And so as soon as something becomes glaringly obvious in terms of the protocol requiring some sort of functionality or people requiring, some sort of asset being migrated from one place to another, as soon as that becomes really obvious that that's required, then we're more than happy to implement it. So I definitely see more ERC standards being implemented into our bridge in the future as new standards come out and become more obvious that they are required. And one that I've been really excited about in the last few weeks or months or so is EIP 2771, which is basically a standard of delegating the gas costs of a transaction to a third party. And so, for example, if you wanted to migrate Ghost token, but you didn't have any Ethereum to initiate that transaction, that bridge, assigning that cost to a third party and then paying them in the native Ghost token to bridge, that could be like a very exciting prospect to someone who might not want to have any Ethereum and might want to only have the Ghost token in their wallet, for example.
Yeah, and that vision is just about smoothing over the user experience even more. Because if you want to make a transaction, let's say you want to send someone some USDT tokens, you have to know that you also need Ethereum to make that transaction. Or if you're on Polygon, you need some Matic to send that transaction. And that's just another kink in the user experience that makes it more difficult. So if Umbria's gets the opportunity to develop technology that's going to make that even easier, even less friction for the user, we're super excited to be able to create that sort of technology. That's really what Umbria is all about, and that's why we've created these bridges of these different assets between Ethereum and Polygon.
We may even see these different technologies eventually be much more intertwined than we even realize at this point. Like, for example, Aavegotchi is also working on their own DEX. That's going to be an in-game DEX, and it's going to manage some of the ERC token resources that are going to be in the game. And eventually we'll probably need, like you said, bridging solutions to be able to move some of these assets off into other chains or just get them off the game so people can take profits somehow and whatever people want to do at that point. But I could feel that with some of the developments Aavegotchi's making and some of the developments you're making, it's almost like you're both digging a tunnel, starting at opposite ends, but eventually things will meet at some point, and that's when that seamless experience is going to happen.
Yeah, I've been really excited to speak to some of the developers at Aavegotchi. And it's really cool to see that some of the guys at Gotchi, some of the developers, are really pioneering some of the token contract standards. I think the Gotchi team invented ERC 998, if I'm not mistaken, which is a way for NFTs to own other NFTs and things like that. So it's really obvious to us that the Gotchi developers are right at the forefront of this technology and also developing the next generation of stuff. So it's a really exciting project to invest in, and we're all actually invested in this project. We all have Gotchi land.
Yeah, and I did some of the documentation on their wiki as well and that kind of thing.
Oh, did you? Yeah, and so it's just really cool to be part of a community that's actually not just copy pasting other people's stuff and actually writing a bunch of new stuff that is really compelling and people are using. So yeah, that's super cool as well.
Yeah, well, I really look forward to seeing what other developments come out from your guys' end as well as from Aavegotchi's end. And at this point, actually, I want to just open up to the room here and see if there's anybody in our audience that's listening in today that might have a question for these guys, that's maybe familiar with Umbria.Network or is not familiar with Umbria.Network, and maybe would like to ask them a question. I'd like to open it up. So if anybody in here is interested, just request to speak and we can get you up here.
I've noticed as well quite a few new people jumping into the space. So I think I should probably just mention that the Umbria team and Umbria.Network, we've developed a bridge which is enabling people to move their ghost tokens from Ethereum to Polygon much more quickly and much more cheaply than the current solution, which is the official Polygon bridge. And what we've done is we've made a proposal to the Aavegotchi DAO to lend $100,000 to each side of our bridge, and that will enable us to facilitate much greater volumes of transactions for the Aavegotchi community. The advantages of that would be that the Aavegotchi DAO make money from that and they can pull their liquidity back out whenever they feel like it. And also the Aavegotchi community can move their assets much more quickly and much more cheaply using our system. So if you go to the Aavegotchi snapshot page on snapshot.org, you'll be able to see that proposal there. It's definitely worth reading through and deciding whether you think that's a good idea and casting your votes on that. And currently we have overwhelmingly positive support on that. It's about 92% upvoted, and it's quickly approaching the critical threshold needed to be pushed through. So if you're holding ghost tokens and you're interested in looking at that proposal, we would really appreciate you having a look at that and casting your vote on whether you think that should be passed through.
Yeah, definitely have a look at that, guys. It is a very compelling proposal. It seems like it already has got a lot of support. I've already put in my vote, so I'm hoping we can come to consensus on it soon. But once we do, I think it'll open doors for other developments like we've talked about here today. And maybe it'll open the doors for other things to be created, other things to happen. I like how you guys have this API. I'm just getting started on my developer journey myself. I've been learning JavaScript, and I'll be doing some more education coming shortly. So I'm really looking forward myself to start digging into some of these tools and being able to interact with some of these things on a more deeper level. So yeah, I thank you guys for taking the time today to talk to us. And no, we actually got 3D Slaps here, who is also another Aavegotchi ambassador. Hey 3D, how's it going, man? Hey 3D Slaps.
What's up? Everything went quiet for a second. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no worries, man. How are you?
Thanks for that quick rundown on Umbria. I think that helped a lot of people who just joined. But I was wondering if an individual wanted to stake Ghost on the Umbria, I think it's a pool, would they have to stake on both sides, like layer 1 and layer 2?
No, just one side. And so when you stake your Ghost tokens, let's say you stake them on Ethereum, you get paid whenever someone bridges to Ethereum. If you stake them on the Polygon side, you get paid whenever someone bridges to the Polygon side. And so the APYs tend to change depending on where the demand is. So if everyone's bridging over to Polygon, the people on Polygon get paid the most, and vice versa. And so yeah, it depends where you think the best place to stake is, and the APYs tend to kind of fluctuate depending on demand.
Okay, cool. And then I didn't get a chance to read the DAO proposal, but I guess it's on Snapshot already, but you're requesting from the DAO 100,000 in the Ghost token or in DAI?
Yeah, we're requesting that the DAO lends $100,000 of the Ghost token on Ethereum and $100,000 of the Ghost token on Polygon. And that will mean instead of the maximum bridging amount being $1,000, which it is now, it will move up to $20,000. So an individual user will be able to move $20,000 of Ghost tokens at any one time. And it can do that much liquidity, that much volume of transactions once per block. And so we think that $100,000 on either side, it will be, the perfect amount to facilitate basically however much volume could possibly happen for the Aavegotchi community in its current form.
Yeah, and when we say lend, we really mean stake. And so the Umbria team wouldn't have control over those assets. They would still be under the control of the Aavegotchi Treasury. And so they'll have full access to deposit more or withdraw all of it or some of it or whatever they want to do at any point as well.
Yeah, we think that's really important as well because, it might happen in the future that bridging is no longer necessary to Polygon for the Aavegotchi project. The Aavegotchi project tomorrow might decide to create their own blockchain or move over to Solana or something that we might not even be able to comprehend. And so at any point in time, the Aavegotchi DAO would be able to say, okay, this solution is no longer working for us, take out their liquidity and also have a bunch of profit from people bridging using our system as well. We don't envision that happening because right now we do have the fastest and cheapest bridging solution by far compared to any other bridging solution to Polygon. But if that ever did become an eventuality, there really is no risk for the Aavegotchi DAO because they can just remove that liquidity. We've also been through a number of audits and we've just had an audit report back from Certic to say everything that's all good. And so that's pretty much the most reputable audit that you can get in the cryptocurrency space at the moment. So everything's looking pretty sweet as far as security is concerned. And the risk is, basically very, very minimal for the Aavegotchi DAO because they can just remove their liquidity whenever they like. And this is just going to be a way for the Aavegotchi community to have more freedom with how they move their assets between Ethereum and Polygon.
That's great. And it's good that you reiterated on the staking definition, I guess. But good answer, too, because he kept, as you were speaking, I had more questions, and he just kept answering. So I was like, oh, what? Damn. So I don't know. I guess if the DAO goes through with it, hopefully they use your bridge to layer 1, if that's possible.
Yeah, exactly. We're hoping so. And we're also offering them a widget that they can integrate into the Aavegotchi website. So the users don't really, have to know or care about Umbria or how it all works or anything like that. They can just go to the Aavegotchi website. If Aavegotchi decides to implement our widget as well, they'll be able to just go to the Aavegotchi website and use the Aavegotchi bridge, which is really just the Umbria bridge, but skinned up to look like Aavegotchi. And it'll all be part of a very familiar user experience. So once this first proposal goes through, I'm going to be putting in a new proposal, which is, now that you've adopted the bridge, how about we fully integrate it and make it a really nice user experience for the Aavegotchi community?
Cool. Well, you answered all my questions. I don't know if anyone else has any. But cool project, and I definitely recommended it to my friend when he was bridging to layer 2. So thank you, guys.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for the question. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, anybody else have any questions for these guys? You can just request to speak, and we'll get you up here.
If not, we're always available on our Discord or on Twitter if anyone has any questions at, a different later point in time.
But we got Warren Dollar. Hey, Warren. Warren, can you hear us?
I can hear you. It was doing that connection thing. Hey,
Oh,
Umbria
okay.
team, my question is Binance Smart Chain when?
Barnyard, Binance Smart Chain when?
Hey, so we've basically finished everything we need to do to actually push it live. But Christmas is here right now, and so we didn't want to push anything over Christmas and kind of ruin our Christmas.
Yeah.
And so now that Christmas is over and just a few days until the new year, once that's all kind of out of the way and we have like a nice clear pathway just in case anything does end up, going wrong, we're going to be doing it then. So I expect Binance Smart Chain to be very, very early on in 2022.
Awesome. Thank you.
Binance Smart Chain is going to be really good because there are actually so many different DeFi and NFT projects right now that are on Binance Smart Chain. So we're really excited for the amount of activity that's going to be going on in Binance Smart Chain. That's kind of one of the reasons that we haven't rushed into launching our project on Binance Smart Chain, just because, you know, it's with cryptocurrency and with security, it's a slow and steady wins the race kind of thing. So we didn't want to kind of launch that too early. We'd rather just be extra cautious, double, triple check. But we've made sure that all the functionality is all working as expected. We've been all audited. Everything's looking pretty sweet. And so now it's just, you know, at what point should we launch the firework?
Yeah, and we kind of expect that there's a good chance that our throughput on the bridge will 10x when we add Binance Smart Chain. And so that means that, you know, hopefully the APY and all that stuff may potentially 10x too. But it means that our system, if there are any, you know, little weak points that might be stressed out by this, it's something that we needed to make sure that everything was watertight before we, you know, expect 10x people coming in and using our system. So we believe that we've covered all our bases with that, and we made you know, triply sure that everything that might go wrong has been fixed before it does go wrong. And so we're in a really strong position now to release it in the beginning of 2022.
We've also made sure as well that the way we've implemented Binance Smart Chain can be translated to adding other chains like KuCoin Community Chain, Phantom, Avalanche, Solana, etc. It's not just, you know, adding a bunch of code on top in a kind of spaghetti way and then hoping that it doesn't come back to haunt us. So we've really been standardizing how we've been implementing assets and adding new chains. And so it should be a nice, smooth process to add more and more chains across time, because, you know, ultimately we'd like to have 20 or 30 chains at the end of the day and really glue together the whole crypto ecosystem. And when the next stages of technology come out, we can add them as well, rather than just rushing into adding, you know, more and more crap on top of the heap.
And so when that is released, is it basically going to be a bridge between ETH Polygon and a separate bridge between ETH Binance, or will there be a direct bridge between Polygon and Binance? I guess either, like for the front end user, they would just see it as that, right? But then on the back end, would it be like you have to cross two bridges kind of in the migration, or?
Yeah, so it's just going to be Ethereum to Binance Smart Chain in the beginning. If people really want to have a Polygon Binance Smart Chain bridge, we'll make that as well. And that will require additional liquidity pools and that kind of thing between those two blockchains. And so just for simplicity's sake, and so that we can get all the liquidity in one place to facilitate the biggest transactions possible, we've gone just ETH to Binance Smart Chain in the beginning. But if we see that anyone or most people that are going ETH to Binance Smart Chain and backwards are going through Polygon as well, then we'll bridge that gap with one bridge and make it quicker and cheaper that way as well if it's required.
The cool thing is that we have quite a lot of liquidity now, so we're not really lacking full liquidity for Ethereum or any of the main assets people are using. So it's just a question of how we want to implement it on a protocol level to make it as effective as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I guess each time we add a bridge, the issue is we kind of is it halving the liquidity? I think that's essentially right, isn't it, Oscar?
Well, any bridge between two blockchains, any asset will require its own pool. And so let's say that we went Ethereum to Polygon and Ethereum to Binance Smart Chain. That's two separate pools. And so if we also have Polygon to Binance Smart Chain, that will then require also an additional pool as well. And so there will be a question with the community of how does everybody want to divvy their assets between those pools, and which pools are going to end up generating the most APY and that kind of thing. And so there are some questions to be discussed with the community to see how everyone wants it to be implemented so that people can get the outcome that they want.
Right on. We have Zaddy up here. Zaddy, do you have a question for these gentlemen?
Hey guys, thank you for the time. I appreciate it. Just wanted to come up and just kind of shout out Umbria here. No question. Just support for the team. Really cool space to have for the Aavegotchi community. I'm learning about Aavegotchi myself, but come from the Zed-Run community, and just to see what Umbria is doing is just incredible, and so much needed, whether it's actually just bridging our assets. I'm a Zed-Run guy myself, or just launching a project. Again, Devosky and Barnyard and everybody. Thank you guys. But also, the new user onboarding. This is incredibly important. So I just wanted to, again, just extend, just some nice words, and I hope you guys had a great Christmas, and, saw you guys working, through the Discord, and just so much love for you guys. And thank you for everything that you guys do for DeFi as a whole, for artists and creators and everything else. So again, thanks for hopping in here and just being awesome people as well, guys.
Yeah, thanks. Really appreciate that one. Thank you for coming up to say that.
Man, like all the Web3 people in this space, man, like are just grinding nonstop, and I think part of it's, a lot of us have found something fulfilling to do that really, it's more than just about making a dollar. And when you have that sort of passion, you get some incredible drive from that. So I really do appreciate all the work that Avogotchi and even yourselves have done. And that just goes to show that, people are noticing, people are watching, and they see all the work that you guys are doing. So yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's really great to see people using our bridge, and it, fills us up with warm, fuzzy feelings when we, can save people money and that kind of thing. So it's really nice to see that people are using our system and getting a lot of value out of it.
It's not even just using the bridge. It's good to see sort of the community that's building around it as well. There's quite a lot of friendly people. We see a lot on a daily basis on Discord. So it's tired. I'm struggling to string a sentence of words together.
Oh yeah, I understand. And I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time, but we do have HM in here who just joined as a speaker. Maybe we can take his question. Hey HM.
Hi guys, how are you?
Doing great.
Always be, my friend. Where are you guys from?
So the Umbria team are based in Gibraltar right now, it's kind of a strange place. It's a British territory on the bottom of Spain. And it's a place where a lot of new crypto startups are basing, just because the regulation side of stuff, the regulatory frameworks are really good. And there's a lot of buzz there for cryptocurrency projects. So we're basically, down in Gibraltar, which is like a more sunny version of England. So it's definitely a good place to be to create a crypto project.
That's nice. I'm sorry, my English is not very good, but how do I get into crypto if I want to?
Oh, to be honest, oh yeah. So I think a good place to start if you're going to be getting into crypto would honestly, and this is a biased opinion, would be to actually join the Avogotchi Discord. And in my opinion, that's a good way to start to you'll learn about Avogotchi, but you also get a lot of your crypto-related questions answered. And I can tell you that our community of Avogotchi is, they're very friendly and they'll be able to help you out. But I think we're actually about to wrap this space up pretty quick, so I don't know if I'll be able to explain in whole a lot of your questions right here in the space specifically. But if you look at the Avogotchi Twitter page and actually join Avogotchi's Discord, myself or there's tons of other people that would actually be able to answer a lot of your questions.
Yeah, I'll just address it really quickly as well. I would say that getting into cryptocurrency is a huge learning experience, and you should just join as many communities as you can and talk to as many people as you can. And spend as much time learning about all the different technologies, all the different projects before, putting any of your money into it. And then when you're confident that, you found something that you're really interested in, then maybe that's the time to think about, investing in something like that. People are very reluctant to, say any investment advice, but the thing I would say to you is just learn as much as you can. There's some really great communities out there. Gotchi is a really great community, but really any NFT communities right now are full of really good discussions, and that's where a lot of the technological innovation is right now. So there's really a lot of very interesting stuff happening out in the NFT space right now.
Yeah, and one thing I would finally just add as well is that figure out what part of cryptocurrency interests you the most, because there's a lot of different things going on in the crypto and blockchain space right now. We have people that are developers who are interested in the protocol side of things, and we have people that might be interested in NFTs, or people that are interested in games, or any other part of the cryptocurrency space. And there's so much to learn. There's so many different genres of blockchain projects and blockchain communities. And so go on to some of these big websites like CoinMarketCap. Maybe have a look at a few different projects' websites and see what interests you in the crypto space. And then from there, start joining communities, learning and experiencing what crypto has to offer for you.
That's really cool, but the thing is that in my country it's very new, so that's why I'm just asking about it, like in general.
Which
'Cause
country
here-
Yeah.
is that?
I'm from Dubai.
Oh
well,
yeah.
Dubai is an awesome place to make a bunch of money in crypto because there's no tax. So you can make as much money as you want and not have to pay any of it back.
Yeah, you barely pay anything here. You don't pay for school. You don't pay for anything.
Nice.
You
Well,
just eat and sleep.
right on, my friend. But I would take some of the advice that these gentlemen have given you on, and mine as well, on some places that you can start. And the first step in getting involved with cryptocurrency is not buying cryptocurrency, but just learning about what it is, and it's such a big space. So you want to figure out what things you like, what things you feel like really resonate with you, that you would understand really well, and then go from there. That would be my advice for that. But with that being said, I think we're just coming up over an hour now. Oh, sorry, did you say something?
I'm sorry, my mic just. I was trying to mute myself.
Oh, okay, no problem. Well, I appreciate all the questions today, and I appreciate you guys, the Umbria team, taking your time today and talking about Aavegotchi, and really just taking us through this proposal and providing us with a little bit more depth on what the Umbria team and the Narni bridge could actually do for Aavegotchi. I think there's a lot of value in that proposal. So for anybody in here who hasn't voted, check out the snapshot and get your vote in. And yeah, I think this was a very thorough and a very interesting conversation.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having us, and thanks everyone who attended and all of those who asked questions as well. We really appreciate all of the discussion. So yeah, thanks again for having us. We're really excited about the Aavegotchi community and how we can all work together. So make sure you follow us on Twitter and hit us up for some conversations in our Discord and things like that. And I guess we'll see you when we see you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I was actually gonna say, so the best way to get at you guys would then be on Discord or your Twitter handles here.
Yeah, exactly. Discord for sure is where we're always hanging out. So you can reach any one of us on Discord. But we're also on Twitter a lot as well. So you can always contact me via Twitter as well.
That's awesome. And yeah, thanks again. I'm sure this won't be the last time we're having a conversation. So I look forward to seeing you. Do you guys have Aavegotchis?
Yeah, we've got a bit of land as well, a couple of spacious plots in the first drop, which was very exciting to be a part of as well. And so it's going to be interesting to see, once all of the Gotchiverse stuff is fully fleshed out, all the games become available, and what new things will become available in the Gotchiverse.
Yeah, I guess I'll see your Gotchis in the realm then. And everybody else, I hope your holidays have been going great. And we'll see you again. This is our regular Sunday time, 7 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, we'll talk again next week. So thank you for your time, and take care, everyone.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
See you later.
See you later.
See you.